Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Emily and today we have my June TBR. As you may know, June is Pride Month, so like many other booktubers, I am having sort of a Pride focus to my TBR featuring stories of queer characters and queer authors. I got kind of carried away in picking out books for this TBR, so I'm just gonna say that up front. I probably won't read all of these books. I've been waiting to read a lot of these until June, intentionally wanting June to be filled with lots of stories of characters with differing sexualities and gender identities, and now I have like 15 books on this list, so classic Emily, I know. But there is one book that does not fit the TBR theme, but I just got it from the library. And I've been waiting for it for a while. A lot of people really love it, so I am going to read it because I don't think I'll be able to renew it just because I was on the waiting list for so long. I imagine there are many people in line behind me, but that is The Wedding Date by Jasmine Guillory. This is a contemporary romance where our two main characters meet in an elevator and strike up a conversation, and Alexa agrees to go as Drew's date to a wedding that he has coming up. From there, it's a romance. It is an interracial romance, so Alexa is black and Drew is white, and I've heard there's really good commentary on that aspect of their relationship. After reading The Hating Game, I am very much in the mood for a good contemporary romance, so this one has been one that I've been waiting for a while. I've heard so many good things about it, so super excited to read that. Next up is one that I have been wanting to read for a while, but again been saving for June. Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This is the companion novel slash sequel to Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, and it follows Leah Burke, Simon's best friend. And now the crew of friends are seniors in high school, getting ready to go off to college, and Leah has a secret. She is bisexual, and she has come out to her mother, but she hasn't come out to her friends yet, not even Simon. But she falls in love, I believe. It's sort of like a first love story, and I'm super excited to just follow these characters in senior year. I have heard some mixed reviews about this, but I'm trying to go in with a totally open mind and not think about what I've heard. I have heard that it's classic Becky Albertalli, you know, great love story, great writing, and all the cutesy feels, especially at the end. So definitely looking forward to finally checking off this next installment of the Simon verse. Next is a book that I got through NetGalley, and that is White Houses by Amy Bloom. This is a sort of historical account of the relationship between Eleanor Roosevelt and first friend Lenora Hickok. Lenora Hickok is very close to Eleanor and even moves into the White House while FDR is president. Lenora, who is known as Hick, becomes the first friend. She eventually works on the administration, and yeah, it's sort of an examination of what their relationship may have been. It's kind of believed that they were lovers and that she lived there as kind of a companion to Eleanor, but yeah, some historical fiction in there. I just love historical retellings. I think they're super interesting, and this one seems like it has some really beautiful writing as well, so I'm always here for that. The next one is one that I'm still waiting for from the library, and that is Everything Leads to You by Nina Lacour. This is a female-female love story between two young women named Emmy and Ava. Emmy works is a film buff and is sort of getting involved in the film industry, and somehow Ava is related to the Hollywood community. I'm not really sure how their stories fit together, but I've heard this is one that just absolutely destroys you and is very emotional, and I think that's to be said for a couple of the books on this list, but I've heard incredible things about this author and this book, so this fits perfectly into what I'm hoping to get out of my TBR this month. Next up is a highly anticipated one. I actually just picked this up not too long ago, Autoboyography by Christina Lauren. So one of my good friends here on BookTube, Spencer over at Common Spence, adores this book. Same with Samantha at Samantha Reading. This is one of her all-time favorite books, and I have very high trust in their opinions and the books that they love. So this is a story of a young boy who moves from California to a Mormon town in Utah, and he is bisexual. When he moves to Utah, he feels like he needs to sort of go back into the closet because he's not sure how he will be accepted in this new community. And in his senior year, I believe, a friend convinces him to take this seminar with her that essentially has you write a book in 4 months. And from there is a love story. He falls in love with the mentor of the writing group, and it sounds beautiful, and I've heard it's just a wonderful, wonderful story, and I'm so excited to read one of my favorite booktubers' favorite books. So I have had this in my possession from the library since April, I believe, and I'm shocked that I have held off this long. The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzi. This is going to be the first book I read in June. I already know it. I have been dying to read this book for months and months and months. I talked about it a little bit in my library haul that I posted way back when I actually picked this up, but it is the story of Monty, who lives a life of frivolity and, you know, isn't taking anything very seriously, but he is like the heir to some sort of fortune, and before he comes of age and has to take over his estate, he goes on this romp through Europe with his sister Felicity and his best friend Percy. Monty himself identifies as bisexual and he is in love with his best friend Percy. I know Felicity is asexual and also getting a book later this year. I have heard so many good things about this book and I cannot wait for June 1st to be here so I can finally pick it up, because honestly I'm shocked that I haven't already. Can't wait. Alright, so my camera battery died and then I went and ate dinner, so I feel like the lighting has changed drastically, so apologies. Where was I? So next up I have Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire. This is the sequel to Every Heart a Doorway, which I read back in March, I believe. It doesn't continue immediately after the events of the first book. It follows two of the characters that we meet in Every Heart a Doorway. This book series has a ton of representation, both of characters of color and characters who identify LGBTQIA+. It's super short, so this is one that will be a nice, like, just need a quick read to kind of reset. We get more info about what I think are some of the most interesting parts of the whole idea of this series. Super looking forward to this. Next up I have one that has been on my Kindle for years at this point, and that is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is the story of Achilles and his romance with Pericles, I believe, and that's really all I know about it, but I do know that everyone loves Madeline Miller's writing style, and everyone says it's just gorgeous and, yeah, kind of heartbreaking, but this is one that I have had on my TBR for too long, so I'm super excited to finally check it off. And then next I have literally all of Adam Silvera's books. I know, I'm super behind on not reading any yet, but I plan to read at least two, if not all three. But I recently got a copy of History Is All You Left Me at Teen Lit Con in Minnesota, and it's signed, so I'm definitely reading this one. And then I have his other two books, They Both Die at the End and More Happy Than Not, on my Kindle. So I'm for sure gonna read this one and They Both Die at the End, and then hopefully I get to the third one as well. But they all seem like beautiful, heartbreaking stories, and yeah, I'm super jazzed to finally read some Adam Silvera and cry my eyes out. I've been kind of intentionally saving Adam Silvera's books for June because he also identifies as queer, so yeah, he also just seems like a great guy. I'm obsessed with his social media presence. He's wonderful. And then I also have An Unkindness of Ghosts by Rivers Solomon. This is a space sci-fi story that I feel like tackles themes you wouldn't necessarily assume you would see in sci-fi. There's a lot of commentary about identifying as something other than cis and white and straight. River Solomon is a dyke, a Trekkie, a wannabe cyborg queen, a trash princess, a communist, a butch, a femme, a feminist, a she-beast, a root worker, a mother, a daughter, a diabetic, and a refugee of the transatlantic slave trade. They write about life in the margins where they are firmly at home. They just seem like a very inspiring person, and I feel like there's a lot of own voices representation in this, is kind of my understanding. But I know Emily at Possibly Literate really enjoyed this book. Adam read it a few months ago and said it was, yeah, went totally beyond what he was expecting of a space sci-fi. So, and I got this from Page Habit, I believe, which is a book subscription service. So it has notes from River Solomon about certain aspects of the book, which is really cool, and I'm excited to read that alongside the actual story itself. And then I have 3 audiobooks on tap, ready to go. So first I have Beyond Magenta by Susan Kuklin. But this is a nonfiction book about stories from trans and gender-neutral teenagers. So I'm super jazzed to have a nonfiction book on my TBR. I want to hear some stories, and I feel like teens have really unique insight into what it's like to be a trans person. So this one sounds really moving, and I don't know who reads the audiobook, if it's the author herself or if it is the teenagers who share their stories, but I do know it's 6 teens who all identify as non-cis in some way. So definitely looking forward to that one. And then I have We Are Okay by Nina Lacour, so I mentioned her other book, Everything Leads to You. This is another female-female romance. It's after some sort of tragedy that the main character has experienced. It's very vague in the description, but she meets another woman who I think sort of helps her through this and processing that tragedy, so I know very little about it, but that is one that I have as well. And then the final audiobook that I have that I'm probably most excited to listen to is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe by Benjamin Alire Saenz. And the reason that I'm super excited, well, okay, people seem to absolutely adore this book and this story. It follows an unlikely relationship between two young men who are very different but kind of connect being loners and sort of doing their own thing, and I've heard it's just a lovely love story. And it is narrated by Lin-Manuel Miranda, who, as I hope you know, wrote and created Hamilton, and if you don't know, I'm obsessed with Hamilton and Lin-Manuel Miranda himself. He is a genius and just a pleasure to listen to, so, but yeah, that alone convinced me, but I do know that people on BookTube adore this story, and some people rate it as one of their all-time favorite books ever, so super excited about it as well. So those are all books that I plan to choose from. I probably, like I said, won't get to all of them, but they're all ones that I'm really, really excited about. And then finally, I have one more book. I know, but a few weeks ago, I just kind of realized I have so many books on my shelves that I haven't read yet, and it's just, at this point, a little ridiculous. I need to start reading more from my own collection, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job. A lot of these are books that I have either physically or on my Kindle, so I'm feeling good about that. But I did create a TBR jar. There are a lot of people on BookTube who have done this, but some who inspired me. Jess's Lit Life, Morgie Reads, and Samantha Reading, so I will link all of their channels down below and videos of them using their TBR jar. I have mine in a Trader Joe's double roasted salsa jar because Adam and I go through like at least one of these a week. It is the best salsa. But anyway, I'm gonna pick one book from here as well, and I want to say I have to read it or I have to unhaul it. That's what Morgan at Morgie Reads does, but that's also really intimidating. But I think I'm gonna have to say that because otherwise I'm not gonna read it. It smells like salsa. Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. Okay, I know nothing about Mansfield Park, but I did just buy the entire collection of Jane Austen books, and they're so pretty, right? Oh, good, Mansfield Park is the biggest. So, okay, Mansfield Park, does this have a, oh my god, the pages are purple. No, they're not. Just bad lighting. Okay, so, taken from the poverty of her parents' home, Fanny Price is brought up with her rich cousins at Mansfield Park, acutely aware of her humble rank, and with only her cousin Edmund as an ally. When Fanny's uncle is absent in Antigua, Mary Crawford and her brother Henry arrive in the neighborhood, bringing with them London glamour and a reckless taste for flirtation. As her female cousins vie for Henry's attention and even Edmund falls for Mary's dazzling charms, only Fanny remains doubtful about the Crawfords' influence and finds herself more isolated than ever. Okay, another one. This is a chunky one, so we'll see how this goes. Alright, so that's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If there are any books on my TBR that you have read and really adored, or ones you haven't read that maybe you would like to buddy read, anything like that, leave me a comment down below to keep the conversation going. You can also find links to all of my social media accounts in the description box, so definitely follow me on Twitter if you haven't. Goodreads, definitely add me. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe so you know when my next video comes out. I post 2 videos per week. And until the next one, happy reading. Bye.